Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, the the weekly card draw portion of the Spiritual Roundtable, right here at Star Nation's main fan page on Facebook. Today is Wednesday, February 19th. Can you believe it? I know February is a short month, but holy smokes, it's gone by so quickly, right? Hugely quickly. Um, so, um, Welcome everybody. Today is a beautiful day here in northwestern Wisconsin. I have to share this because, this time of year, sometimes we don't see the sun very much in February, but today the sun's out with blue skies. It's cold. It was 7 degrees this morning. I think it's like 20 something right now. But I have to mention that because we don't get this very often in Wisconsin, where the sun's out this brightly with that blue sky. So I'm excited. Before we get rolling down the road too far, I am going to send our show over to my newsfeed. And also, I'm going to send it to a couple of friends because they've asked me to send it to them through Messenger, the link. And so I'm going to do that as well. So hang on just a second. Going to send it over to my newsfeed. There we go. We'll post that. And then I'm going to send it over to a couple of friends who asked if I would please share it with them. And there we go. I think I got everybody. All right. So, how you guys doing? I feel like we haven't seen each other in a really long time for Spiritual Roundtable, but we were just together last Sunday. But it feels like that there's been a lot of time in between, doesn't it? I know about that. Hey, Rob's here with us. Hello, Rob. Good to have you here. No, it's not. It's Saturday in July. Oh my gosh, don't you wish? I know, but it'll be here sooner than we think, right? It'll be nice and warm. Yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on the live streams, I've been adding on our two private groups onto the live stream, so you guys know that we have private groups, right? And I would like to invite you to join us for any one of them. We have I think what's attached to this live stream is the Star Nations Academy, and in that particular group, it's all about the education, right? And sometimes that's in YouTubes that we find. Sometimes it's in the books that we're reading. We have a monthly free mini class in there for those that are members in that particular private group, and so it's part of the community. And we're all seekers of spiritual knowledge, right, and information. And so that's what we do in that group. The other group is the live stream show group. And that is where most of the most active members of our community kind of hang out. And so in that particular group, we share all of the information about the shows and all other kinds of information too. So, join us in any one of those. We also have a public group for the magazine. And with that group, that's all about the magazine, Star Nation's magazine. And so I encourage you to join us in any one of those places. It's always nice to have community peeps with us in all those places. So today is all about the card draw. And this morning when I was getting ready to do the card draw, here is the cover of the cards that we're using, Sacred Spirit Reading Cards by Anna Stark. And Anna's from Australia. And so we're getting the influence, right? How she sees the world and how Spirit talks to her and delivers a message. And so she has, the lens of an Australian that's coming through. And also the illustrator is also from Australia. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the cards we've been using. And with the card draw, the intention is pretty much the same every week. And I'm talking to my spiritual team and asking them to give us a hand to help me by showing me the information through the cards that's important for us to know about this week, the energy. And I always add, that will help us give us clarity, maybe even have an aha moment. To the path that we're walking and in our spiritual journey, right? And so that's always pretty much the same intention every week. And so this week we have two cards again. Yeah. So, hey, Rochelle's here too. Hello, Rochelle. She says it's so sunny here in Michigan. And yes, isn't it though? It is sunny, sunny here. And I had to mention it because in February here in Wisconsin, we go so many days at connected, day after day after day, and we don't have the sun out. And today it's beautiful out there. Yeah. Cold, but beautiful. All right, let's see. We showed that one. And Cindy's here too. Hello, Cindy. It's good to have you in the house, lady. Good to have you here. So here are the cards. And I have to tell you, the very first card we've had already before. And so they really, really want to get our attention. I'm going to show it to you in just a second here. I had to turn off the crawler because having the crawler going and showing you the cards, sometimes that's a bit much. It's too much going on. All right, so here it is. Ascended Masters. Right? Create an open communication with others, listening objectively. Yeah. So the Ascended Masters, it's the second card in the deck. And this is the second time, I believe, that the Ascended Masters has popped up in a card draw. And when we get a card multiple times, that is my go-to to think, okay, they really have a really important message they're trying to get across to us because it's a repetitive, right? And so our connection to the Ascended Masters, we all have them on our spiritual teams, more than one usually. And so our connection to them is ongoing. They're with us all day long, all night long, all year long, right? And depending on what you're working on, is to remember to call on them, right? Because they have had a physical life at one time. And so they know what it's like to be a spirit having this physical experience, right? Now, here's the thing, is that when we're working with any spirit, whether they're on our team or perhaps you're involved in a ceremony, something like that, right? Is to remember some of the basic things. And number one is be grounded, right? Being centered and being protected. Because when we call on, even if it's our spiritual team, whatever we're working on, we want to interact with the highest aspect of those that are assisting us, right? So when we're working with the Ascended Masters, because they've had a physical life, I'd rather work with the higher aspect of them that carries the wisdom from that spiritual life, rather than the lowest aspect of them that were a part of that duality that's here on Earth, right? And so that is just kind of like a rule of thumb: being grounded, being centered, and being protected. And we should be doing that twice a day anyway for most people, right? Rochelle, did you do your grounding today? She usually tells me she did. And that's usually my my sign, my thing to remind me, right, to mention our grounding. And if you don't know how to ground, what I can do is put a link in the comments. We've had many classes, we've had many shows all about grounding. And so I can put one of the links in the comments, right? In fact, if you wouldn't mind letting me know, for those that are in the live chat, thank you so much for being with me, is let me know by putting in I'm grounded or something like that. Just drop it in. Um, and those that are watching the recorded show, thank you so much. And you can also do the same thing because I check back periodically after the show has been on for the recording a few days, just to check back to see who's saying what. Because I think it's that important that we are grounded, that we are centered, and that we are protected. It makes our journey here so much easier. Really, it does. All right. Rob is saying, and this is why I sojourn here alone and palely loitering. The sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Okay, so I'm getting to know Rob fairly well. This has got to be lyrics. So whose lyrics are you telling us about, Rob? All right, and this is Jen. Good morning, Jen. Good to have you here, lady. It's always good to have you in the house. Cindy says, "What's the difference between grounded and centered?" Okay. So grounded means that we are consciously grounding our energy to the earth plane. And that's where, we're grounding to Grandmother Earth, right? We're sending our energy from our root crown chakra all the way down through our bodies, through our root chakra and the chakras in our feet down into the earth. It helps us to be grounded. We're stable. It's kind of hard to knock us off our energy when we're stable. Being balanced is the energy that's coming through us, the energy that is us, is balanced in our male and female energies, right? It's balanced in our thoughts and our emotions, okay? So if you think of it as kind of like, the old time, how we used to weigh things, is that we have that balance. The left is not heavier than the right, kind of thing. And when we're balanced, again, it's not as easy to shock us and to knock us off balance. Okay, it's kind of like when you're standing and you have your weight evenly distributed on your feet, right? You're more stable, right? Okay. But if you're putting more weight on, let's say, your right foot than your left, you're kind of off balance a bit. And it's easy to kind of tip you over, right? Yeah. Well, energetically, we want our energy to be just like we're evenly distributed, our energy in our bodies and then connected to the earth. That's being balanced. And some ways that you can do that is as you're bringing creator energy down through you, down through your chakras, is that you can imagine the creator energy having this gentle spiral coming down through you, right? And for women, it's a clockwise spiral, and for men, it's counterclockwise, right? And so it's just a nice way to be able to help our energies to balance as we're getting grounded to the earth. Yeah, I hope that was a good question, Cindy. Thanks for asking it. Hopefully I was able to answer it well enough for you. And hey, Stephanie's here too. She's saying regrounding and centering from an emotional morning. Oh, I know, right? Yours was an emotional morning. Mine was just plain flat out busy from the time I got up until I sat down to do the show. So yes, sometimes depending on what kind of grounding technique or modality that you're using, yes, sometimes you have to check in with yourself during the day to see, okay, am I still grounded, right? Yeah. You might want to do the centering too, Stephanie, because that will help. That will help kind of even things out, right? Okay. Let's get back to the Ascended Masters. Right? And this card is all about communication, to create an opening with others and to listen objectively. And you notice the color here, right? That pink color. That pink color. So many times, especially now in this energy field that we find ourselves living in, that pink color is really about our high heart. That's the color there. And it's between our throat chakra and our heart chakra, right? It's right here. And that pink color, when we're in our high heart, is when we have that balance between our mental thoughts and our emotions, right? And it's really, since it's so close to our throat chakra as well, it can affect how we communicate. We're communicating more of our true self, right? When we're communicating from that high heart, um, and people can feel that even before you even open your mouth and actually say the words. People can feel your energy field, and when you're coming to them from your high heart, you have a calming energy about you. Right? Have you ever noticed that? Yeah. Hey, Christina's here too. Hello, Christina. Good to have you here. Rob is saying, had to step out to reground and just got back. See, good one. Good one, Rob. Thanks for sharing that. When I get quoting Keats, it's time to reground. Well, the bard at heart, right? I don't know. That's Shakespeare. Wasn't he known as the bard? Yeah. Yeah, Cindy's saying, I love that. Me too. Me too. Okay. So here's what the author has to say about this. Okay. She's saying throughout time, human beings have looked to spiritual teachers, gurus, and philosophers for guidance and wisdom in their everyday lives. Regardless of religious background or affiliation, people gravitate toward those who have achieved levels of ascension on the physical plane, which is true, right? And in the age that we live in right now, we're not really leaning on those religious leaders and the gurus, right? We've evolved spiritually, emotionally, that we're relying more on our own inner intuition and wisdom. Not to say that we don't go to classes and talk to teachers and that sort of thing. We're still doing that. But we don't have them up on that pedestal anymore. Do you ever notice that? And this has been talked about for like a few decades already, that this was coming, this was coming, this was coming. And then in late 2000, it was like, we knew that to be a fact, is that even those that were put up on that pedestal, right, kind of got pushed off that pedestal, and we saw them as human. It's like, man, they have the same emotional issues that we do. They have the same relationship issues that we do. They're not perfect. They're not perfect human beings, right? They were also having a physical life here. And so when we turn to others outside of ourselves, we should be discerning, right? What they're saying, maybe it's not everything they said to you is what was needed. Maybe for you, it was maybe a sentence or two, or even a word that you thought, oh my goodness, that's it. I can feel that. That's a truth for me, right? But everything else that person said didn't resonate with you. And that's okay. It's better that we're checking in with ourselves and saying, okay, that sounds good, or that feels right for me, right? Yeah. And I think that we have to be able to see each other in that same way, right? Is that personally, I think and feel that we learn so much more from each other when we share, right? That there again, it might be a certain phrase or a certain word, Or maybe it's because the other person is really listening to us that we actually feel that. We feel we're being seen and heard, right? And so I think we do that for each other. We don't necessarily have to have, well, I'll put them in the old time, those old time or old school kind of gurus and masters and teachers, and the way that people that we looked at them back in the 60s and the 70s. Don't you agree? I think that we live in a much different kind of energy field. All right, so philosophers, ascended masters, spiritual gurus, and leaders enable those seeking wisdom or higher states of well-being and consciousness to connect to something bigger than themselves in this dimensional experience. While there are many ascended masters across the realm of ascension, they are still in differing levels of ascension. These inner planes assist those seeking wisdom, connecting them to specific energy such as the light rays. So each ray of the light, so there's 7 of them, right, is that they're at different frequencies. And so when we call in those that are on our spiritual team that are ascended masters, depending on what you're working on, what you're trying to understand, you want to get the right frequency working with you, right? And so, for instance, for this show and just about all the shows that I do, when I call in my spiritual team, I ask for those that help me with public speaking and teaching to please come close. And depending on what topic we're talking about, for those that on my spiritual team that could help me with, say, sacred geometry or understanding the ascended masters, to please come close to assist, right? And I also ask for the one on my spiritual team that has of the highest vibration to please help me to communicate what's most needed in the most kind and loving way. Because sometimes, sometimes we have to say things that the message is kind of brusque or to the point, pointedly, right? And rather than delivering it in a hurtful way, I'd rather try to deliver it in the kindest way possible and get the message across. So I ask the highest ascended master or teacher to come in to help me to convey that. So we can ask for those things. We just have to remember to do that because they can't help us unless we ask them, right? That's right. Oh my gosh, look who else is here. Marie. Hello, Marie. Good to have you here and happy belated birthday. Rob says, or Shakes was known as the Bard. Yep. As was Homer. But Bard is also a grade in Druidry. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And bards, man, they had to remember a lot of things, didn't they? Because they were the storytellers in through song sometimes, lots of times. But they had to remember a lot of things because they didn't write it down. Not just lyrics, but delivering messages from one village to another, or depending on what monarch they were under, is to be able to know the lineage, so that when they told the stories, they could recite the lineage back to the very first, say, king or queen or chieftain or whatever, right? Yeah, they were smart peoples. Well, Violet's here too. Hi, Violet. Good to have you here. All right, so this is the first card. It's about the Ascended Masters. It says that when working with these frequencies or energies, be sure to always invoke or request the aspect that exists within 100% of pure light. Because remember that the Ascended Masters actually had a physical life. They knew what it was like to be here in this duality. And so we want to work with the highest aspect of them, right? Yeah, to bring in that wisdom that they gained when they were in the physical. She also says that right now, You are required to connect to higher wisdom previously shared with a collective purpose. Daily rituals and routine are essential to establish stability through decision-making process. Open your mind and vision to signs and symbols from the Ascended Master realm. Many masters are associated with animals and symbols. Pay attention to art and imagery that you may feel emotionally or strongly connected to now as you are being guided divinely. Right? She goes on to say, be consciously aware that the masters are working behind the scenes in your life to achieve a greater outcome. Karmic planning and your unique energetic blueprint requires certain learning experiences and events for you to grow and expand your soul and spirit into a state of awareness. So they're with us all the time, all the time. And so when we get to see, because I tell you what, in Star Nations community, aren't we really good at seeing those signs and symbols, the coincidences? No such thing. It is all about synchronicities, right? And that we recognize those things. Here's the thing, though, is that sometimes they come in so subtle that they kind of go right past us, right? Because we're not looking for the subtle. We normally talk about and relate those ones that are like right in our face that you can't miss because they're just like, oh my God, look what just happened, what I just saw, right? Yeah. Or those dreams that we have, when spirit is like, has whatever message it is for us that we can't miss it. It's like right here. When we get it like that, that means that they've been showing it to us for a little while already. Because at first they start out subtle and then they get to the point of, okay, she's not getting this. we got to be like right here with it, right? Yeah. I try to catch the ones that are subtle because they're so much easier to bring in and to play with, really. It's when they're in our face that sometimes it's not so much play. It's kind of like you got to pay attention to this now, right? It becomes more of a task than it is playtime. So I try to catch them early if I can. That's the intention anyway. All right, here's the affirmation. The affirmation is, I am a clear channel of divine knowledge. I share this wisdom with compassion and confidence. Don't you like that one? I'm going to say it again. I am a clear channel of divine knowledge. I share this wisdom with compassion and confidence. And because we're two-legged and we have a little gift from the Creator called free will, sometimes when we're given the signs, given the message, sometimes we think, I'm not looking at that. I'm not going to do that. And it's for our own good, literally for our own good. But we make the decision to let it go by, go past us, right? And eventually it comes back around. How many of you have ever experienced that you keep getting the same message? Maybe it looks a little bit different, but when you look a little bit deeper, it's the same one, and it keeps coming back around, right? And you think, and then eventually it gets right in your face and you can't not see it, right? Yeah. How many people have experienced that? I think we all have at some time, at some point. And so when it's like right in their face, that means that it's been around for a while. It's been around for a while. And now it's time. It's time to deal with it. All right. I get caught up with you guys in the chat. Cindy says, I have a hard time not jumping around on subjects when talking to people. Bug me. Oh, yeah. And it's catching the flow. I tell you what, Cindy, I am literally surrounded by Geminis. I just found out last night that Rob's a Gemini. After the show is done, because he produces that show for me. I thought he was teasing me, but no, he's a Gemini too. So here is a characteristic of a Gemini that I would like to think that I have a master's degree in, because I have so many around me, is that they tend to, because they're an air sign, right? And so they spend a lot of time in their mental mind. They jump around in subjects a lot when they're talking. And so you have to be able to follow them. And then sometimes it's even piecing together. Oh, is this what you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Because they've jumped subjects a few times. And here's another one, is that they have this conversation in their own mind already going, and they'll start in the middle of it verbally, and you have to try to catch up to them. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, you didn't say that first half to me. You only said the second half to me, right? And so you have, with Geminis, you really have to be nimble and keep up with them verbally in order to catch the meaning, the deeper meaning of everything that they're trying to convey. It's just that their mind works so much faster, right? And it also depends on what other aspects they have working with them too, because everybody is a little bit different, right? But I know what you mean, Cindy. You got to kind of keep up, and that has something to do with attentive listening too. Is to when I'm talking to Paul, I literally have to put whatever I'm working on to set it aside and pay attention to what he's saying. Otherwise, I miss so much of what he intends, right? Yeah. After 40 years. Violet saying, I got 555 today and the angel message of change for me. Yeah. That's a good number. That's also an ascension number. So that also could mean that whatever you're working on spiritually, that you are really taking in exactly what you need to raise your vibration, to raise your frequency, which is good. It's good stuff. Thanks for sharing that, Violet. Rob saying, you are blessed. You are welcome. I know I have an abundance of Geminis in my life. Rochelle says, I've been hit with 2x4 a few times in my life. Yeah, me too. It's not fun. There's not one fleck of fun in those moments at all. And it's so much easier on you all the way around if we can catch them when they're subtle, right? Like well, good for you. Jen says, a reoccurring dream that slightly changes a part of my house that is closed off. It used to be dark and full of ghosts. The last time I had that dream, it was light and colorful. Oh, so there's change. There's change, and whatever you did to bring the light in, right? Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. And the thing is it's also about balance, because we can't, how we experience life here has both. It has the darkness and the lightness, right? And we're here till the darkness is what teaches us a whole lot. The darkness is what gives us our soul growth. It's that friction. It's all of that. It's uncomfortable, right? Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Hi, Deanna. It's good to have you here. Clarification is key. Yes, it is. It certainly is. Violet says, yes, get frustrated with myself. I say it's stubbornness. I wish I could get it on the first time, but usually it's like the 8th time when I finally get it. But you get it. That's the important thing. And, and you can always talk to your team, right? Have a conversation with them, because we have a relationship with them. Just like we have a relationship with each other, we have a relationship with our spiritual team. And so to have a conversation with them when you do, is like, can you make those signs, those symbols that you're sending to me a little bit clearer? Because I think I'm getting it, but I want to make sure that I am. right? And sometimes it has a lot to do with that communication. When you see a certain something, that means a message from them that's this or that, right? And so it's no different than the relationships we have with each other, that we have to build and nurture that relationship with them. Yeah. My team's hilarious. They have such a sense of humor. Mm. Rob is saying, I've been hit with a 2x4 and got a bill for the replacement lumber. Oh my gosh. Yep. That too. Jen said, I had many messages to warn me to leave the coal mines. The last two were accidents. I no longer work there. Yeah. And sometimes because we have that free will, we end up being in a place or in a situation longer than we needed to be, only because we chose that. I've done that too. When I worked for the state of Wisconsin, I was there way longer than I should have been. Yeah. Rob says, when I complained that they are the ones who swung it, I was told that those were friend prices, and I was in a yeah, right. Okay, so first of all, your spiritual team loves you. And if they're speaking meanly to you, they're not your spiritual team. Kick them out. Your spiritual team loves you. They will encourage you. And when you do something that is, you sure you want to do that? Are you really, really sure? Because they'll be there to help you if you ask them. Yeah. So, and they're not the ones doing the swinging, Rob. You created it. You created it. They were showing it to you, but you're the creator. They're not. They're playing out, helping you to play out, I should say. Okay. They're just showing me a theater. Okay. And you have the script. You wrote the script. It's called your soul contract. Right? They're the set designer. They are you're the director and the lead. They might be the producer, actually. One producer to another. Yeah. Yeah. So they introduced maybe the other people that did the swinging of the whatever it was. But yeah, we created it. Marie says, my problem is I interpret how I want it and instead of what it is. Isn't that the truth? Been there too. Yeah. In our interpretation, because we don't want to face certain things. And so we put a spin on it. Yeah. That's why I think when we ask for clarity, and maybe we should be adding, and the to be brave or the courage to accept the truth, the divine truth, not your truth, the divine truth. That would probably be a good way to put it, so that we're taking it in as a divine truth, right? That's a good one. Thank you, Marie. Jen says, talk to your team, huh? Like screaming, show yourselves. Yeah. There have been times, when back in 2009, I just shared this the other night with some people. I would go into meditation, ask the questions because I was working on certain things, right? And so, and I had gotten into the habit of saying, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'd like to do it. Show me my next best step so that I can do this as gracefully as possible, right? And when I went into meditation in 2009, time after time after time after time, it was like silence, radio silence. Nobody was speaking to me. It's like, where'd you guys go? And I'd fall asleep in meditation, which isn't like me. And yeah, and I was getting kind of short with them. It's like, really? Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't until I was helping out a friend of mine. She was kicking off her mediumship, and so she was having a special. It was a teleconference call, and I sat in on it, so she knew I was there supporting her, right? And so she was doing readings, and I suggested that maybe she do me toward the end so that she had enough time for everybody, because she and I can talk anytime, right? And so what happened was she did my reading for me, and it was around. Actually, I remember it being in December of 2009, and I think it was, maybe it could have been 2008. And so basically, what she had told me, she goes, "They want to know why you're not celebrating." It's like, wow, why didn't they tell me that? you know, because I had finished my first soul contract. There wasn't anything left to do. And so that was a whole nother thing. But it was that communication piece, that communication had broken down, and most of it was on my end. All right. So, yeah. And then I had another person follow up with that, sent me a card. She had worked on my palm prints, and sent me a card saying that there was a message that had come through for me, and she wanted to share it with me. And this was after she was done doing the palm reading. And she said that something like, I was at the turning, and there was nothing left to do, and their suggestion was to go on vacation, for a while, because I was going to be learning a whole new thing that they were going to help me with, right? So these two women didn't know each other at all, and yet they were confirming, validating that. And so, yeah, yelling and screaming at them really doesn't do much. It might make us feel good in the moment, but it really doesn't accomplish anything. It's still about communication. Yeah. Yep. I am Hal Needleham and Burt Reynolds all rolled into one. It's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that first card is all about communication and all about calling on the ascended masters to assist you. Okay. Now the second card. Here's the second card. And the second card is Third Eye Vision. It's number 36 in the deck. That's a 9. It's about completion, right? It says, liberate your vulnerability. Reclaim your mind. Reclaim your mind. Look at those colors and how that swirl is happening. Now, is the swirl starting with the two-legged and flowing out? Or is it coming from the center of the universe there, spiraling into the two-legged, right? Very interesting. So which one is the center of the universe? And doesn't it look like a question mark? I love the colors. Kind of reminds me of I had the word. It's a menopausal thing. Stained glass. Doesn't it? That's what it reminds me of, stained glass. An energy swirl. Third eye vision. Reclaiming your mind. It's all about liberating your vulnerability. Right? All right, so it says the third eye chakra is located along the brow line with the access point between the eyes. Every individual has a third eye, but not all choose to open. In ancient times and across different cultures, the third eye was an asset. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Hindus all viewed the third eye and pineal gland as a gateway to the heavens, expanding consciousness and higher wisdom. In Sanskrit, it's called ajna, and ajna means is to command and perceiving. So you're right. You're right, Cindy. It's both. It's coming and going. It is in the commanding and the perceiving. This multidimensional door allows individuals to glimpse into different realms, as well as remote viewing, distant healing, visionary experiences, and energetic practices. Right? So even though your primary clair may not be clairvoyance, clear seeing through the third eye, we still take in information through the third eye, even though that might not be your primary clair. Okay, we're still bringing it in. That information is still going through our pineal gland, and that once it hits there, then it's our other clairs that kind of kick in, right? So if your primary clair is, let's say, clairsentient, clear knowing, right? That you just know it. That's how you feel it. For me, it's clairaudient. And so I'm going to hear it. Even though I'm clairvoyant too, but that's not my go-to. That's not my primary. We all have bits of all the clairs. It just depends on which one we were gifted with that is the strongest, is our number one. Okay. But all the information comes through all of our chakras, and the information that comes through our third eye, right, follows that path into the pineal gland. I love this stuff. I do. I teach this through the class, Journey to Remembering. Yeah. So when you decide, when you make that decision for yourself that you want to open, I'm going to put that in air quotes, open your third eye, because it's always open. But you want to learn more about it, right? You want to use it to the best of your ability, right? When you make that decision, there's other things that go along with it. It's just not being clairvoyant. It's just not upping the tuner on it, right? There's lots of other things that go with it. It's learning how to be grounded, learning how to be centered, learning about yourself when it feels off, when you don't feel quite right, is to check in with yourself. It's like, oh, okay, I need to ground. Or depending on what kind of protection you have up, maybe what you need to do is a clearing, because you got too much stuff on you to be able to really bring in the information with clarity, right? So there's lots of stuff, lots of layers to it. It's just not saying, I'm going to do this. You have to learn some basics with it. Okay. And is it really learning? Maybe, but maybe it's more about remembering, because we've all done this in previous lifetimes. Sometimes we were the masters of it. Sometimes we were the students of it. Sometimes we were the reluctant student to it. We've experienced it so many different ways. So it's really an act of remembering, right? And so I can't impress on you enough is that it is our personal responsibility to take care of our energy field. In other words, make sure you're protected. Make sure you're working with the highest aspects, right? Yeah. Yeah, and do that, and you don't have to go through the psychic attacks. You don't have to go through those other things. Okay, they're saying you don't have to go through the drama of it. You can learn in a different way. It doesn't have to be drama, drama, drama. All right, let's see. Get caught up with you guys here. Let's see. I know. Oh, here we go. Violet saying, beautiful card. I know. I love those colors. And I was agreeing with you, Cindy. It is in that flow, that both. It is. And Jen is saying, so true. Our mind has been artificially hijacked. Reclaim it. Trust your own knowing. Believe in yourself. Absolutely. And it's really about getting to know yourself and how you react to certain information coming through, right? So what does it feel like when you're looking at something, bringing in information, and it doesn't resonate with you? What does that feel like? What does it feel like when you're watching television? I don't know many of us in the community that watches the news, but if you're doing that, what parts are mind altering, right? I think when Jen uses the word hijacked, that's where it went. Is like who's manipulating who, right? And learning how to step away from it or calling them out on it. It depends on who it is, right? And if you're protected, that's very, very helpful. No matter which decision you make, whether you're going to walk away from it or if you're going to address it. And if you address it, maybe it is about, using your throat chakra, right? Yeah. So it's very helpful to have that grounding and that protection going. Cindy is saying, do we communicate with the seven through that? Through our clairs, do you mean? Yes. See, this is we take in all kinds of information all day long, all night long. It's not just what we see with our physical eyes or hear with our physical ears, right? We take in all kinds of energetic information all the time. Our energy field is constantly shifting and adjusting and decoding, right? That light language that comes through. And so that's why it's important for us to give our physical body a rest. That's why it's important for us to get the best rest that we can, right? And to be able to sleep in a room that's dark, 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 so that your pineal gland literally goes to sleep. It's when we have, whether it's natural light or artificial light, that there's our pineal gland is going to be activated, even if it's just coming through our skin. Okay. And so in order to get the physical body to get the kind of rest that it needs, we really do need to rest in a very dark room. That's the best rest. It's getting completely shut down. It's like the mental mind goes to sleep. The pineal gland is at rest. And that's when our subconscious comes to the surface and our soul does all kinds of other stuff, right? Yeah. But we're taking in, I used to use this number, and I wish I could find the resource for it. It's like 150,000 bits of information coming in per minute. So everything that's in the room around you is communicating with you, both the seen and unseen. Okay. That's why our energy field is constantly shifting, decoding. That's why our team is working with us so closely, is helping us to take in that information, right? I know. Kind of blows your mind a little bit, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Rochelle says, great information. Have enjoyed this conversation. Me too. We're right at the top of the hour, too. I want to finish up this card. Here we go. It says that currently you may be feeling forgetful, moody, and extremely sensitive to smells, light, and taste. Visual stimulation is overpowering. Now is the time to reclaim your mind, satisfy your needs first instead of people pleasing. Try to avoid crowds and busy places as collective mental energy will influence your state of mind. Continually trying to protect yourself from harsh criticism and personal judgments will keep you in a defensive mindset and influence your decision making. Intuitively, don't rush into a third eye experience. Take it slow and seek a suitable teacher to avoid spiritual risks. The affirmation is, I see clearly and accurately through my mind's eye. Okay. So here is the first card was the Ascended Masters. Open communication, listening attentively, right? And the second card was all about the third eye and to be in a position to be able to take in the information, right? And then that second card really was about that grounding and that protecting so that you can be open, so you can take in the information. So as Jen put it, so you're not hijacked, right? And that your mental mind isn't out of balance with all the things that are going on so that you can be open to that communication from the Ascended Masters and with each other. Because you know what? Because we're here having this physical experience, we are masters. We are. We're learning how to master the physical environment, the physical world as a spirit. And we've done it more than once, right? So it's important. It's important for you to do your grounding, your centering, and your protecting so that you can take in the kind of information that's meant for your highest good so that you can act on it in a graceful, positive way, right? And have fun doing it too. All right, so we're going to show the two cards together. You know what that means, don't you? Take a nice deep breath in, right? Getting present, bringing yourself all to this moment, all aspects of yourself, and asking your team to help you bring in the information that's optimal for you, right? That's optimal for you. So here we go. Oops. All right, here are the two cards together. Look at that. I just find it fascinating. Here you have a lot of the pink light of love, right? And you have a lot of the very dark colors coming in through that third eye. Very yin. The dark colors are about the female energy, the sacred feminine. And actually pink is a lighter shade of red, and that is a sacred masculine, believe it or not. So there's balance here besides. And it really is, the feeling I get about this, guys, is that this is our spiritual teams telling us that they're here for us. Those ascended masters are here for us, asking to speak to their highest aspect of themselves to help us through, learn what we need to learn here, right? Taking in that psychic information, that light language coming through our third eye. Perhaps it's the ascended masters on your spiritual team that will assist you, help you to understand the best way to work with your clairvoyancy, to work with your clairs. right? Very, wow. It's like, you look at these two together, right? And you can see that we're working on a continuum, from the lightest to the darkest, right? Yeah. All right. Violet saying, I love these conversations. I do too. You're welcome, Violet. And Christina says, thank you. That tidbit about the darker room for better sleep for the pineal gland. I need to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. And it makes a difference for me. I get up so much, I feel more rested when the room has been darkened that way. There's no extra light on. I know it makes it a little bit more, where's George? So I don't step on George if I have to get up and go to the bathroom. And I haven't had to do that. So that's good. Well, hello, Kamleesh. Kamleesh, it's good to have you here. We're just finishing up. Maria is saying, thank you. So happy I caught you. Me too. Me too, Marie. Now, remember, um, any part of the conversation that we had today, whatever resonates with you, that's what you embrace. Everything else, just let it go. It's okay. Even if it was just one word or one phrase, that's all it is. It's okay. It's good. If it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. Just let it go. Perhaps you're the messenger and you know somebody who would enjoy this conversation or have been looking for the information, and you can send them the link to the recorded show, and then you're done, right? So we have one more show for you guys today from Star Nations live stream shows. We have one more show for you, and that's this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. Right? Yeah, love that show. All right, so the first half of her show is all about healing. She does a guided meditation, a healing meditation. You bring in your intention to what you need to heal, along with your spiritual team and your team, her team. They work together, and it's a very powerful evening of healing. Second half of the show is all about the card draw, and that has turned out to be one of the best and largest audiences. So if you enjoy having a mini reading, join us tonight, 7 p.m. in the second half of the show, usually around the half hour mark. So if you're in the Eastern time zone, that would be 7. See, she starts at 7:30. Central time zone, that's 6:30. And come join us, okay? All right. And so with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And we'll see you back here for the spiritual roundtable on Sunday afternoon in the private group where we do their dream interpretation. And that's on at 3 Eastern time. Okay. All right. Bamamina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.